the vision of Lufkin is how can we be progressive so that we're changing, so that we're growing, maybe not necessarily numerically in a large value, but we're growing, we're improving. It's that constant effort to make improvements and have those be noticeable, be tangible improvements.
Hello and welcome to The Clear Voice, brought to you by Clear Career Professionals. I'm your host, James Groom. This episode is a PositionCast for the city engineer role in Lufkin, Texas. Joining me today is a recruiter for the position, Michael Bays. Welcome back to the show, Michael.
Thanks, James. And I'm really eager to talk about this position in Lufkin. Such a great role as far as being impactful for a community. A lot of times here at Clear Career Professionals, we talk about the impacts we have on communities and the ability to affect the end user, the citizen, the person who lives there, works there, and really experiences life in the community. I can't think of a more important role than a city engineer for a community like Lufkin that's going to be growing, has a very deep and rich history, but the ability to really get out there and make sure that the engineering works well for the community and for the developers as they come in, and just really shape the future of what Lufkin looks like.
Very impactful role, like you said. With us from the City of Lufkin today to give all the details about this opportunity is the City Manager, Kevin Gee, and the Assistant City Manager, Brian Bray. Brian and Kevin, thanks for being here and welcome to The Clear Voice.
Yes, thank you, James.
Thank you, James.
Good to see you, Michael.
I'm certainly excited about this role. It's in the piney woods of East Texas, and I'm from Tyler originally, so Lufkin reminds me a little bit about home. Before we started the recording, we did talk a little bit about how far south counts as East Texas. Lufkin clearly is East Texas, but I talked to people not too long ago that are like in Beaumont, Port Arthur, and they identify as East Texas. Can you guys settle that debate? Is that also East Texas?
I think the easiest thing to do is call it Southeast Texas and be done with it. And you could decide somewhere between Beaumont and Jasper where that line is.
All right. We need to get it on the map because I can't have that.
Yeah.
We appreciate you being on. And, one of the missions of this PositionCast is to kind of understand the leadership that you guys have provided and what it'd be like to work down there for you. Kevin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your path to the big seat in Lufkin?
Yeah, I have a non-traditional route to a city management position, at least in my experience and the people that I've met. It's more non-traditional. I started my career, my bachelor's degree was in civil engineering. I began my career with the state doing engineering work. I came to Lufkin in 2003 to work for a consultant engineer here, working in a variety of roles, supporting governments, cities and counties with private clients, doing commercial development, a wider range of development services for differing people. At 2018, I came to the city of Lufkin as the city engineer in this role. So I know a little bit about it and what the expectations are. Over time, in 22, I was appointed interim city manager, and since then have been given a more permanent role there. So my background has been in public works and infrastructure, in client relations, and the things that I think city managers need in order to work with city councils, to work with the citizenry and that public-facing side of how a city works and what we do on a daily basis, to be effective, to be responsive. So my background really, I think, has assisted me in performing well in this role.
It sounds like this would be a great opportunity, not just for people that have a lot of experience in engineering for cities, but even somebody who meets the minimum specs and wants to be a city engineer, but might be afraid that, well, what happens if I don't know how to do something? It sounds like you'd be a great resource to have in-house to help out if they're needing any advice.
Definitely. And I think I was going to mention this at some point, and my idea for this role is that it can be tailored to fit different experience levels. Michael and I had talked about the salary range and maybe some of the reasonings for that. And that's the reason, whether you're 6 years out of college with minimal experience, maybe you've got your PE license and ultimately you're going into a management level role. This is a good way to get into that. Or you're a seasoned manager who has a lot of experience or varied experience in public works related things. This role fits that well also. we've got a lot of flexibility, and we could talk more about that in the department and the needs that the city has there. But there's a lot of flexibility for varied backgrounds, varied skill sets, and technical expertise to be effective, to be a great benefit to the city of Lufkin and the community.
Brian, can you tell us a little bit about your journey? And no pressure, how would you describe the dynamic between the CM and the ACM offices?
Considering the CM is sitting next to me, I say it's fantastic. But no, in all seriousness, I mean, it really has been enjoyable. I arrived in Lufkin in 2023, and kind of going backwards, I never planned on getting into city government. Father was a city attorney, and I kind of thought, yeah, I don't want anything to do with that business. And so I started in museum education. History was my passion. It still is my passion. Somehow I made my way to East Texas 23 years ago and started working for a different city. And now 24 years later, I'm still here. I planned on staying in East Texas 5 years, and wife and I and family fell in love with it. I have, opposite of Kevin, not been in the engineering public works realm, but really more of the quality of life. Parks, recreation, cemeteries, libraries, Main Street, all of the non-regulatory true quality of life departments within a city is where I've been raised, essentially. I've been fortunate enough to be able to be here for 3 years, and I think we have a very bright future for the city of Lufkin. You know, Kevin is a non-traditional, as he said, a non-traditional city manager in terms of not his management style, but his background, and mine as well as the assistant city manager. I never planned on being here. I just ended up here. And frankly, James, I enjoy coming to work every day. And that's something that I'm very pleased to be able to say, not just because Kevin's next to me, but even when I'm out and about in the community.
Yeah, the quality of life side of the house is often overlooked, but probably one of the most important things to keeping your citizens happy. I'll ask both of you guys this, but I'll start with Brian. If you step back, what is it about Lufkin that you appreciate the most?
The extremely supportive community, city council, the city structure itself. There is an extremely deep wealth of knowledge, subject matter experts who work here. Kind of in my background, I was raised essentially by a city employee, a city attorney, and I viewed the employees in the city of Corpus as the true experts because they were a big city. So when I started working here in Lufkin, I didn't expect to find that same level of expertise. And I mean, it's shocking. I would put our team up against anyone from Dallas to Corpus to Tyler, you name it. We have them right here in our own backyard.
Well, Kevin, Brian may have taken all the good answers. What do you got?
I think he spoke more of the city government of Lufkin. I think I could speak more about Lufkin itself, Lufkin proper, the town, and I know we could talk more about that. It is not unique to East Texas in all aspects, but one of those is that it's just a hub for your daily needs, for shopping, for medical, for all that, and it just makes it a gathering place of people we say a 12-county region that comes in. So you have business going on with different counties and different areas coming to the same area, but it still has a smaller town feel, being a population of around 35,000, and we swell to 90 to 100,000 during the day because of the regional draw that we have. There's opportunities for business. There's opportunities for the quality of life, pleasure things. That's what I like about Lufkin. I think that's what attracts people to it. You can do a variety of things, and one of the aspects that we're trying to work on is continuing to attract people and make it where others feel the same way and want to come here.
Kevin, what would you say is the vision for Lufkin?
Good question. I can give you a technical answer relative to council being a policy group and establishing the vision or the direction of a city. And Brian touched on it with our council. They are very cooperative in their methods with each other to find things that they can agree on that need to be done. And they are things that affect the daily lives of all the citizens of Lufkin and even our visitors. And so the vision of Lufkin is, how can we be progressive so that we're changing, so that we're growing, maybe not necessarily numerically in a large value, but we're growing, we're improving. It's that constant effort to make improvements and have those be noticeable, be tangible improvements, because society is always changing. The workforce is always changing. The larger employers, Their workforce is changing. So how can we be progressive enough to meet those needs, to be attractive? They really have a progressive mindset in the best sense of term. They're looking for direction and guidance as far as the technical aspect from us and the subject matter experts, and they're willing to put the money behind it to make it happen. I would say that's the vision of Lufkin as a city government.
Can you guys tell me a little bit about the organization itself? And Brian touched on it with the experts in the room being there, but what's the culture like down there?
We talked about the culture, and it's all a matter of perspective. I think something that may be emblematic or symbolic of it is you'll notice we both have two different city logos. There has been a change, not a stark change, but it's been a gradual change. I don't do it like my predecessors do. And Mike, when you were in management, you didn't do it the same way your predecessor did. There's going to be a change. And so it's a matter of trying to communicate that change so that you develop a culture that we try to have buy-in with. We're all old enough to know what old school ways were and maybe how we were instructed or how we were given tasks to do, and maybe the means and methods that our supervisors use to do that. It's a different world now. So you try to build a culture. I do try to build a culture of what I would want as an employee, which is I feel valued. I feel like I have input. I get listened to. A culture that is almost democratic to a certain degree, but also one that knows one person's got to be the one to make the decision, and I'm going to be a team player and back it up. It's a collaboration of trying to get the most out of people, helping them do their best at their job. The daily culture at City Hall and our different satellite offices is one where we want people to enjoy coming to work. Mm-hmm. Brian and I talked about how and y'all know, you spend most of your time at work. And if you wake up in the morning and you dread going to work and it's just like, oh, this is not going to be a good day, that's not a good thing. We try to get it to where we have people properly equipped to do their job and enjoy doing their job.
And James, we have a lot of department heads that are new. So it's not always been this way, so therefore we should all always do it, isn't really a thing because so many leaders are new. They want to have the open communication that Kevin was leaning towards, which is what we want. I view our role as helping them do their job. Well, the only way that can be successful is if there is that open flow of communication and not really worrying about which department you're aligned with, but the fact that you all work for the city. I mean, it is very common to see someone from solid waste helping someone at the zoo, or someone from the parks department helping someone at the convention center. The IT director going over to help replace a light pole downtown because, well, he has the expertise in it, and so he's over there helping them. That is really a real example of our culture. There aren't a lot of barriers. It's, hey, we're one team and we're trying to move in the same direction. And sometimes we're coming at it from different angles, and that's okay because we're all heading in the same place.
And getting buy-in in that approach, because in the past it hadn't necessarily been that way. There's people with a lot of years that you have to try to keep continuously encouraging them to look at maybe a little different way to do things.
When you guys look at moving from maybe private sector engineering and kind of what happens in that world, and when we consider moving over to the city side and working for the City of Lufkin, what would be some things where a potential engineer might feel a positive difference in their long-term career goals and how they're being impactful with their life?
The benefits were a big plus. I mean, you think of private versus public. There's more money in private, all that. But the stability and benefits, I know it's simple to say that, but it's a big thing for people. Providing that security. It's a pace that can be very demanding, but it's not demanding because of the bottom dollar. It's demanding because you're serving people, which is a difference. That aspect of, I don't know a better way to say it. When you're a project manager for an engineering company, you're a rainmaker. You got to make it come and keep it coming. And if you're not, then you're getting told something's wrong. Well, here you're still got that demands to get things done, to manage projects well, to do things, but it's not driven by the bottom dollar. And so that's something to get used to, which is a great thing. Also, I think about in career, because I was, 22 years in engineering when I came to the city. I knew that I would be going to a management level. I would quit doing more of the detailed design and project management, and it offered an opportunity for me to do that. Where you're at currently, you may not have that opportunity to go into management. You may be stuck at that project manager level, and at different times people need something new, and it provides a different aspect when you're managing personnel and resources to get things done on a larger scale. And you also, a lot of it is you're given more tools and people to get it done with. You're getting to see everything from just managing somebody else doing it to doing it yourself. It gives an opportunity for a variety. So it was a welcome change when I did it. Didn't know for sure what I was getting into, and I don't think a lot of people do. Anytime you change a job, you don't know the details or the specifics. But it was a pleasant surprise in the flexibility that it offered going from private to public sector.
Is there intrinsic value that you have when you're an engineer in one place watching all these projects come together and grow up around you and seeing the actual impact on somebody versus, in private practice, you're doing the same thing, but it's spread across the country maybe or across the state and you're not seeing it firsthand?
I think there's definitely a personal sense of value that you're imparting to the community that you're able to see. You have firsthand, we did, $2.5 million worth of improvements downtown. You had your hands on that. You were able to scope it. You were able to put the little details, the patterns, the coloration. That's a great point, James, of having that sense of fulfillment on a local level and stuff that you leave work and you go to eat. You're going to go to things that you help design or you help construct.
It's almost like you've planted all these little seeds and you've seen them grow over time. And so 5 years later, you get to look back and go, you know what? I played a role in that and it feels good. And that's part of what the joy of coming to work every day is for me is I've only been here a couple of years, but I've already seen some of the things that were started when I was first with the city now to be full fruition, the renovation of Morris Frank Park. It's a huge improvement out there. And it was in the infant stages and now it's open and it's amazing to go out there to watch the hundreds of little leaguers playing baseball on a Saturday.
Well, you guys have already talked about some of the things like downtown revitalization. With having this in-house engineer, I'm assuming there's a lot of projects in various stages of development and things coming down the pipe. What are those that this applicant would need to know about?
I think I would tell the applicant that there is a plethora of opportunities in individual design or management level for infrastructure. Any city has always been looking to make repairs and to streets, to water, to sewer. We've got significant needs in different areas related to public utilities, but we've also got a focus from council on quality of life. We've just completed a Parks and Trails master plan that has got implementation phases and projects that need to be carried through. We've got next phases of downtown improvements and what that needs to look like. Even the aspects on the economic development side of assisting our Economic Development Corporation in long-range planning. What properties need to be acquired? What does that look like? Assisting in some of the agreements that they have in managing development of new businesses, which is a different aspect that the candidate may be more familiar with that would feel more at home. Those are some of the things.
And James, without giving specific name of a project, something that Kevin mentioned early on is not only that salary range, but it's that experience level. And we want to tailor the duties, give or take. Engineering is engineering, but, really what their responsibilities are based on their expertise. So we can shift more focus one way or the other based on who the candidate is. And then we just kind of adjust from there. Outside of the things Kevin mentioned, there's lots of opportunities for changing the workflow within engineering. All throughout the city, we have the 20-plus year tenured employees and we have the 2-year employees, and there's a big mix in there. Engineering is one of those departments that has that big mix. We will be missing 2 very long-term employees there here within a couple of months, but then there are some others kind of in the mid-range. So there are lots of opportunities on the management side is where I was going with that. And I know Kevin touched on it, but it's making engineering all work together based on the skill set of who's hired. And it's not that we're trying to find a round peg to shove into a square hole. That's not the case. It's malleable.
What is the makeup of the team that they'll be managing?
So we have a engineering manager, engineering senior technician, and we have 2 other engineering technicians that primarily their role is plan review, plat review, different permitting, but also individual customers or citizenry that has complaints about drainage. There's a lot of public facing side with the staff to be responsive and provide direction or answers for things. There is our GIS mapping system, our manager for GIS. We have field techs and construction inspectors and going on into building inspection, code enforcement. There's a variety of managerial oversight related to development, related to generally engineering.
And engineering is immediately adjacent, office space wise, with planning and the code enforcement and inspections folks. While they're 3 different functions, they all kind of meld together and help each other. But, direct supervision was the question you were asking, James, but trying to give a little bit better picture of what that environment looks like is engineering isn't in a corner of an office by themselves. They share common space with other departments.
And what would you say the most needed technical skills are for Lufkin?
Primarily, it would be public works-based technical proficiency. So if you think of public works, you've got water systems, sewer systems, you've got collection, distribution, storage, and treatment on the sewage side and the water side. That is kind of the core of the engineering function for a city. The primary concern is keeping those utilities running well and safe and taking care of business as far as planning and things like that. So I think the core technical competency would be in those areas.
Sounds like a great opportunity already, as you've explained it. What are some of the challenges that will be faced by the new city engineer in the next 12 to 18 months?
Before Kevin gives the longer, more technical answer, I would say one of the challenges that we have been fortunate enough in my time here to have council fund numerous projects. So the challenge is there's a lot to do. There is not a lack of projects to design, to oversee, manage. The challenge is hit the ground and start running because we have lots of things to get done.
I think the quickest challenge in any new position is learning your staff and their strong suits. And while we have people in positions now, we're open for an experienced manager to do an evaluation, to establish an org chart based on people's strengths and weaknesses and assign tasks and workflow that works best. It's a challenge, but it's an opportunity, not just as a catchphrase. It's an opportunity to customize the department based on what your evaluation is and what you see. And that lends back to your own strengths as a candidate and what you can tackle yourself versus what assigning to others or delegating to others.
When we do the PositionCast, it's very important to understand the role and the organization and all that. But it's also very important to explain to potential candidates what life is like in Lufkin, moving maybe across the state or, for this position, it may be out of state. I don't really know. What can you tell me about Lufkin living in the city there?
Something that I'm sure Kevin and I take for granted, and I didn't even realize I was taking it for granted until we hired someone here last year that came from the Metroplex. And it was a first week here. He just bought a house. He and his wife bought a house, and he sent me a picture, and it was of the stars. And I thought, well, it's a clear night. It's a pretty picture. And I didn't comment. And he said, it's amazing out here. It's quiet. You can see the sky. And that is not just Lufkin, but it's our general area, with Lufkin being the center of that area. You have all of the amenities of being in a city, but you have the benefit of having nature right outside your back door. It's not uncommon to have deer walk through your backyard and to see raccoons and birds, and you have beautiful azaleas and pine trees. I mean, the nature aspect of it. But if you don't want it, that's fine. Go live in a neighborhood, and you can have both inside the city limits.
Yeah, one of the interesting things when we invested in downtown, and it was a real revitalization definitely from the 80s where it was a ghost town, the number of people that had never been downtown that didn't realize what had been going on there, and seeing the opportunities for entertainment, for food, for just a night out, for anything. We offer a variety where you can cloister if you want to, or you can be as outgoing and involved in the community as you want to. And as an individual, you can make those choices to go to parks, we've got Sam Rayburn 15 minutes down the road to go fishing and skiing. There's other lakes around. There's national forests. There's opportunities for you to do things individually or with your family. You also get, I think, relative to larger cities, you get a better school system. Typically with education, I've found the smaller the system to a certain degree, the better it is. The more interactive it is with your kids, the better programs they can offer, the better specialized programs they can offer. Those are the things that should attract those that may not be familiar with smaller towns and cities in East Texas.
James, just so I know you're from the big city of Tyler compared to Lufkin, but I also want you to understand, or the candidate to understand, that this isn't a town where nothing happens. I mean, we have a phenomenal zoo. We have the Angelina Arts Alliance. We have the Forestry Museum. We have, Temple Theater on Angelina College. We have fantastic sports programs at Angelina College. There are endless activities going on if you want something to do outside of just the nature aspects of it. I think that's something that a lot of people are shocked about if they don't already live in East Texas, is that you can have that 5 minutes away from your home. And that's why I highlighted that first. But there's lots to do in the city as well.
Do you guys have any signature events every year?
The city is involved, or conducts rather, two big events, and that is a massive 4th of July fireworks show that's held out at Ellen Trout Zoo, then also a lighted Christmas parade every year. And those are start to finish productions by city staff.
The Forest Festival is a huge event every year. We attract regional rodeos, PRCA rodeos in our county exposition center here in town. Our marketing and tourism department does an excellent job at providing things for people to do. We currently have a Summer in the City series where we have live music and opportunities for food and drink. And we have several events that are sponsored as fundraisers for different organizations that people get together. So kind of like what Brian was saying, there's always something to do. You have people that complain that there isn't, but I don't think they're paying attention because there is always something on the calendar. Our marketing tourism department does a good job of getting that out there to let people know what all is available.
In fact, last summer, the same department Kevin's talking about, marketing and tourism, held an event every weekend in downtown all summer long. I mean, that's pretty impressive. These aren't big 4th of July shows, but there were concerts, there were street dances, there were all kinds of activities going on in downtown. And that was really to feature, hey, look what downtown can be. And now they're having to back away because so many other people are wanting to hold events down there. So the city is able to say, hey, here's what you can do. Now citizens can take over and hold other events. Now, I don't mean, Kevin and Brian holding events, but other nonprofits holding events instead of the city having to be the host.
Sounds like there's a lot of stuff going on down there. And I guess if somebody wanted more, you're only, an hour or 2 hours, I guess, from Houston and a couple hours from Dallas. And if you really just want to go sit in traffic and be around millions of people, you can jump in the car and take a weekend trip too.
You're only 2 hours to Shreveport, 2 hours to Houston, 3 hours to Dallas. I mean, to me, it's the perfect location because you're not far from anything, but you're far enough away that you don't have to deal with it.
And I think I would just say through this process, we're trying outreach, we're trying to attract candidates. I would encourage anyone that's even slightly interested, give us a call. I would love to sit and talk. I can talk your language. I can tell you what the role entails, what I've had to deal with, what we're looking at, what the opportunities are. I can be an open book to you about what you might be getting into. And if it piques anyone's interest, let's hear from you.
Outside of the technical aspects and what's in the job brochure, what kind of people are you looking for that would be successful down there? What attributes would they have?
Someone who is willing to make the right decision at the right time and then stand behind it. And I always try to jump in before Kevin does on those because he'll give the longer, more technical answer. But I mean, from my perspective, that's what I'm looking for in all of our department heads, is someone that's willing to make a decision, but doing it for the betterment of the whole. Because neither Kevin or myself like to micromanage things or people. My job, and I'll speak for me specifically, my job is to help them do their job. No, the city engineer reports directly to the city manager, but I'm here to help that person do their job as well. And so if that person is successful, then I feel like I've accomplished my goals. That's how I view it.
I think it should be innate in the city engineer to be a problem solver. And that can have a lot of personal characteristics of one that is thoughtful, that analyzes things, but not overly analyze them, and makes decisions. And you have a reason for it. We're reasonable people. We want people that are honest and forthright, that make good decisions. That's what I look for in all my employees.
And we know that no one's perfect. I'm not perfect. Kevin's not perfect. And it's okay to make a mistake, but make a mistake for having made the right decision in the first place. And that's acceptable.
Michael, can you talk to us about the salary and benefits of the position?
Yeah, James. Currently, the salary range for the city engineer position is $110,000 to $150,000. But I'd really like Kevin to talk a little bit more about that salary range and kind of how the city's developed that. In city work, we've talked a lot about it's not just the salary that you're getting to be part of a vital team, but really kind of understanding that salary range and kind of where Kevin's thoughts are on those candidates would be really helpful.
We had talked about it being an opportunity for a younger engineer, younger PE to move into management early on, to come into an environment that is more focused on public works related improvements or projects, and also provide a competitive salary and benefits for that. And it also, opportunity for someone that's more seasoned and more experienced in management to come in and be able to tailor a department to their liking. I mean, they may be in a spot right now that they're dealing with things that they can't change. Well, this is an opportunity to tailor a department to the aspects and the priorities that you have as an individual. The pay is in our area is commensurate with even some of the private side, especially when you consider the benefits, the retirement. The cost of living here is less than the Metroplex areas. Obviously, it's like that everywhere. But the housing market and things like that we feel competitive. And even speaking of that, like I said, if there's an interest, I would encourage them to talk to me, because you can put the benefits down like we did on the brochure, Michael. But when you start thinking of our concierge medical coverage for day-to-day everything, it's a big deal not to have to pay any money and be basically 2 hours away. If you need to see somebody, you can get in. It's right next door almost. The benefit of us contributing time off, that was one of the big changes from the private to the public sector, was the availability of personal time off, whether it be for sick leave or vacation, was significantly more than the private sector. That flexibility, because Brian and I value that work-life balance a lot. You're here with us more than you are with your family. You need to get along with everyone. There needs to be this sense of family to a certain degree, where you're all working together for the common goal. Providing that environment, providing that culture along with those benefits, we feel is attractive.
I mean, and we understand that work-life balance, you end up with happier, more productive employees if you're not demanding that they do nothing but work and not play. That's how we view that. But also, Michael, you're talking about the benefits. And Kevin touched on the concierge medical service. We also have free vision and free dental. 15 paid days off a year, something like the 14 holidays. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot more than the previous two cities I've worked for.
Welcome anyone to select our benefits on our website and see what our premiums are for healthcare. Just the numbers kind of speak for themselves.
And one of the intentions of the PositionCast is to sort of bring that brochure to life, because as we look at the brochure and you kind of look at all these things, you can kind of compare letters to letters as far as what your jobs are. But, really, when we look at this and when we talk to people and ask them to consider applying for this position, I think it's exactly what you gentlemen are talking about as far as what am I getting into as far as the quality of life issues that I'm experiencing, not just the money that I'm making as far as the salary goes, but what are the benefits? What is that culture and that leadership that I'm going to be able to continually grow myself and develop along with people who not only hold me accountable, but also inspire me to continually do better. And so that's one reason we love having, you gentlemen on here to talk about this and kind of bring the brochure to life, hopefully energize candidates to be a part of what's going on in Lufkin.
Very much. I agree.
Well, you guys forgot about my favorite benefit, especially moving from a private sector to the public sector, and that's TMRS retirement. I'm waiting for my first check at the end of this month.
Are you? Okay. Well, great.
Maybe just give everybody that is in that private sector just a tad bit of information about TMRS.
Yeah. So as an employee at City of Lufkin, you contribute 7% of your salary to TMRS. The city contributes We say 14%, but it's more than that. So you're having 21% of your salary placed in TMRS retirement each paycheck. So that allows it to build 20 years at any age. You can retire and draw that money,
and you're vested after 5.
And you're vested after 5 years. So you're looking at, if you're changing from private to public, if you can do a 5-year commitment, you are vested in a 5-year retirement system and can get everything out plus the interest and growth at some point.
And you have access to additional, sort of secondary retirement systems because you do work for a city that's a TML city. There's all kinds of secondary ones, which I have some of those. I don't plan on retiring in 5 years, but in 5 years I can. And that's a wonderful feeling to know that I can retire if I want to. I mean, as long as Kevin's still here, I'll still be here in 5 years. If Kevin leaves, I'm gone. I'm joking. But because of the retirement system with TML, I have that ability.
There was a big change, James, compared to the private side of, your employer matching 3 or 4%, 5%, maybe 6% in some cases. That's a big change.
Yeah, it's definitely a great benefit. Michael, can you tell the candidates what they would need to do to apply for this position and where to find more information?
Yeah, well, as always, you can go to our website at www.clearcareerpro.com and see this posting along with our other opportunities. We keep it really simple to apply. All they need to do is send their cover letter and resume to applylufkin@clearcareerpro.com. That's the best way to get into it. We always want to highlight how our candidates are treated after they submit their cover letter and resume. We stay in touch with our candidates every week by phone, making sure that they're okay and that they're updated about the process. And we really try to build those relationships and treat people with the value that they deserve. It's easy to apply, and then you become one of our candidates, and there's a real relationship there. And then we continually work with the city and Kevin and his team to make sure that you're treated well throughout the process. And ultimately, what we envision is the city being able to select somebody who is a really great partner and collaborator with them and can really take them continually on the next level.
So it's not going to be like the typical thing where 6 months after the job announced they hired somebody else, you finally get an email that says you didn't get selected.
Right. Always hated that as a candidate. And that's one thing that we're very committed to is making sure you know where you stand in the process. And I feel people that are professionals and always trying to grow their career really appreciate that type of treatment.
And as we wrap the show up, Michael, do you have any thoughts, anything that we missed?
No, I think that's a really great opportunity. When I look at Lufkin and had the opportunity to visit the community several times, it's a beautiful place. And when we're really sitting in traffic here in our metropolitan areas, and there's a lot of things to do here, but really being able to get out and be a part of a community where you have all of the same things as far as community events, good places to eat with your family, good religious centers, the ability to really build a quality of life. I think this is one of the better positions that I've had the opportunity to recruit for. And really, when you look at the leadership out there, as far as the team that they brought together, it would be an awesome opportunity to work with those folks and just continually serve.
I agree that community aspect is very important.
You make us sound awfully good, Michael. I like that.
Yes.
Well, Brian and Kevin, I'll ask you guys as well. And Brian, I'll start with you. Any final words for the engineers listening that are trying to decide if they want to jump on this?
Kevin's already said it twice, but I haven't. And so I want to encourage someone that we're here to answer questions. Whether it's hey, what's it like to work for this Mr. Gee guy? Give me a call. If it's, technical or what's the city like, please pick up the phone, send Kevin an email. We would rather have that opportunity to talk to them about the position than them to say, yeah, I don't really know.
Kevin, anything that we missed, or speak to the candidates and let them know why Lufkin?
Yeah, I don't think we missed any. It was a good opportunity to share my vision, my management style, my ability to try to get the best out of people as part of my team. And so I appreciate that opportunity. Just encourage people that would be interested, that might meet those qualifications, that have the background that would be well suited for this. We're open to discuss what we're looking for and what it would entail for them and their family to be here in Lufkin.
Well, thank you, Brian and Kevin, for being on with us to highlight this opportunity. Michael, it was great to speak with you as always. To the listeners, thank you for what you do day in and day out in your communities. If you'd like more information about this position, please check out the brochure under the Career Opportunities section of our website, clearcareerpro.com. Follow Clear Career Professionals on LinkedIn for this and other great roles. Please like and subscribe to The Clear Voice, and we will catch you next time.